This is Tina back in for another story. The story that I'm going to talk about today is pretty bad, so if you are sensitive to this type of content, then please just don't continue to watch this video. This is a really gruesome case. This case involves an infamous man whose name was Larry Singleton, also known as the Mad Chopper. So what he did was so there was a girl, her name is Mary Vincent. She's still alive today, so that's good news. She was bored one night and she went out and she was hitchhiking. Now, this was in 1978 in California. So she went out and she hitchhiked and she was picked up by a man who was old enough to be her grandfather, so she figured that she was safe. Well, obviously she wasn't. So what ended up happening was he took her and he hit her with a sledgehammer, and then he proceeded to SA her all night. Once he, did whatever he did to gratify his sick self, he then proceeded to take an axe and chop off both of Mary's forearms and then threw her off a 30 foot embankment and left for dead. So Mary, as strong as she managed to crawl up the embankment, and it said that it was really muddy at that time, where she was, and that the mud helped the wounds to stop the bleeding, so the bleeding subsided, or at least stopped it from her bleeding out. She crawled her way up to the highway, and then she was able to get picked up by a couple who later then took her to the hospital. What's frustrating about this story is that they went to court, were much more laxed at that time. So he was sentenced to only 14 years. So in the he didn't spend 14 years in prison. He only spent 8 years in prison for this type of act. Like, this is just crazy. Okay. So he spent 8 years in prison. And during that time, he was some type of teacher. And so he got out of, he was released from prison early, due for good behavior. And so Mary, apparently, it's in the story, says that she feared him because he had sworn that he was going to finish the job. I don't think that's how she lives today. I read an article about her. She has prosthetic arms now. She does a lot of drawing, and to me, like, from what I see about her, it looks like she's not allowing this to ruin her life. She's just moved on. The also unfortunate part about this is that Larry Singleton, the perpetrator of Mary Vincent, went on later to kill another woman. Her name was Roxanne Hayes, a mother of three. On February 1997, police found that Singleton was covered in blood after stabbing her in his new home. So, unfortunately, another woman lost her life due to the system. So, Mary, what she did was she went on to get a law enacted to for these types of crimes to serve a minimum of 25 years in the state of California. So at least, there's that. The law has changed due to this gruesome attack. The perpetrator here should have never been let out of jail. I can't imagine. Again, we're talking about 1978, so things were much different then. But just to imagine that, like, or think that this person is even able to go back and be part of society. I know that they tried to place him into a couple of different areas, but the people that lived in those areas protested, and I guess he had to stay in a trailer somewhere near the prison for a while. But it's just really sad because he threw her off a 30-foot cliff, Mary Vincent, and she fought for her life like I don't know if any of us would even have had that strength. Like she had her, not only had she been S8, for the course of the night, she was a young girl, but then to also have your forearms chopped off by an axe, like I can't imagine the pain that she went through or what, what was going on in her mind. Obviously, it was survival that her survival instincts just kicked in. And to me, I think she's one of the strongest women and admirable women out there that has done something to help change the laws. It's unfortunate, though, that Roxanne Hayes, she was a mother of three, ended up being another victim of his. So Mary did take him to civil court and she won 2.56 million a civil judgment against Singleton, Larry Singleton, but was unable to collect any of the money because of his poor health and he had only $200 in his savings. This man was just so callous and was paroled after only serving 8 years, which to me seems just like what what were they even thinking back in those days? Like they just didn't value women obviously very much then. Today, thanks to Mary, the laws have changed and these types of violent predators are now going to serve a 25 minimum year sentence. So this person, Larry Singleton, I really do hate to, bring up the perpetrator, but he did die. It looks like he was sentenced to death for Roxanne Hayes's murder, but he died in prison of cancer at the age of 74 in 2001. S8 and mutilated Mary Vincent, and then went on to not only do that, but also to commit another murder in 1997 of Roxanne Hayes. And it seems that it was very violent. There was, as I said, there was blood all over him, and I guess this was due to the fact that he had stabbed her. So when the police did find him in his new home, that they had found him just covered in blood. She had been stabbed many times. So at this time, the articles that I read about Mary are all positive. She has her prosthetics and she's really into art and drawing. She's got kids and she's living out her life. I just think that she is one of the most strongest women I've ever even heard or read about. To even just imagine surviving something like that and then being able to go on with your life and be positive, fight, and then also fight the justice system, get the laws changed. And then unfortunately, Singleton did go on to murder another woman. So it's really, one of those cases that is it's very hard to hear, but there are a lot of predators out there. You need to be careful. Thank God now we don't do the hitchhiking thing, or at least I hope most people don't. I know I talk about a lot about online dating, but you can run into a monster at any. You really just never know. I used to work with a corrections officer. She was working out of Colorado, and she told me that most people run into or pass by a serial killer or a murderer at least a couple of times in their lives without ever even knowing it. So it's important to just be aware of your surroundings. I hope that Mary is still doing well, and I really praise her for all her bravery and fighting. And I hope that the family is doing okay. I know that it looks like Roxanne Hayes has children out there, I'm sure, that are still suffering from this. they lost their mother to a disgusting man who obviously had some major problems. And there's Bob again showing up in the video. He does that. But again, I just wanted to share this story. Someone had told me about this story, and I just couldn't believe it when I heard about it that she survived. Like, wow. Mary, if you see this, if you should see this, I'm wow. I'm taken back by you and your strength, and I really do wish you and your family the best. Also to the Hayes family, I hope that this doesn't this I'm not meaning to show any disrespect. Just wanted to share the story and warn females, males too. Obviously, you just don't get in a car with strangers. You just have to be careful who you surround yourself with or the people that are around you. If you would like to like the video, great comment. I would love to hear any of your comments on this video or any input that you have about the changing of the laws. Maybe the laws need to be changed in other states, or if, to me, I feel like, well, obviously he was sentenced to death for the Roxanne Hayes murder, but I feel like since Mary lived, he didn't get as long of a sentence, which is really bad. That because she lived, she survived, he got less of time, which maybe in 1978 he may have gotten more time and may have saved Roxanne Hayes' life. So, anyway, if you've watched this far, I do appreciate it. And I hope that I will see you in the next video. Have a good night or day. Take care. Bye bye.